Ladies and gentlemen, Six Fig Stock Trader here on YouTube. Folks, we are looking at CKB today. Buckle your seatbelts because this is going to be a wild ride. Before we look at all the technical stuff, check me out on Twitter if you haven't done so already. Hit me up. I'm dropping videos, charts, news, things like that, especially when I cannot make it to a computer to make a video. This is a great place to look for information, especially if you're invested with CKB, Voyager token, Bitcoin, some of those other coins as well. Back to the TA on CKB. This is still looking really juicy. In fact, a few days ago, on my Twitter handle, I said, hey, will we get the, cup and handle? This was on October 11th. And look it, we are starting to get this cup and handle. So I am hoping that right now we see CKB make a move up to about 0.017-ish. We can see a trend line within a trend line for the most part. If that does happen, we may be forming a nice ascending triangle to propel to the upside. And I do think that getting over this little hurdle, 0.0212, somewhere in there, will be interesting to see how that goes down. Let's just kind of do this quick. You know, I do think that some price tags to get over this 0.022-ish area, include the 0.027, 0.03. If we really get juiced up 0.037, depending on the amount of buying that happens. So, again, if this thing breaks down, though, we can definitely look for a bounce off this lower trend line, meaning if we do break down here for some reason, we can bet our bottom dollar that we would probably range around 0.013 down to 0.0125, excuse me. So months and months ago, back in early August, I was kind of speculating how we might be seeing this inverse head and shoulders forming. Well, it does look like this might be exactly what is happening. And if we do get this inverse head and shoulders on a multi-month chart, a multi-month pattern, I think huge things are going to come. I do think that we're going to see another run up like this, and it's going to be insane. So if and when price action leaves this upper trend line, is when things are going to start to get spicy. So I'm hoping that we get to test some of these 4 or 5 cent levels and maybe as high as 20 cent levels. So we'll go over that one more time because what we're seeing right now is very similar to what we saw here. And if you kind of look here, you might be able to make the argument that we had a little inverse head and shoulders to the upside. And so same here. So we come down, bounce here, and we can kind of see where we might be in a similar position. And in yesterday's video, I kind of pointed out some key points. Got this part right here, this part right here, part of the shoulder here. Excuse me. I'm going to retract this here. So this part right here might be something similar to that. This part right here might be something similar to that. The bottom, obviously, come up to the right shoulder, and we can kind of see how this structure looks familiar to what we saw last fall. So, interestingly enough, the last run started in January. So, it'll be interesting to see what takes off here. I do think that we may see a peak for CKB in January, though. And of course, all of this is very contingent with Bitcoin. Let's get back to the CKB chart really quick because I want to just do a quick follow-up and just show for the people that haven't seen this So we'll just measure from this bottom up to this top here. And so we can just kind of go ahead and place that right here. And all I'm going to do is just enlarge this, and we can see the connection between past price action and current price action. So we can see that this comes right up to about the 18-cent level if we have the same style velocity as we had before. So this would be pretty crazy to see. I'm on board, and I've got my bags loaded. Not saying you should, and this is definitely not financial advice in any way, shape, or form. All I'm doing is just comparing trends, previous trends to current trends now. So with that said, folks, that's really all I got for you guys on CKB. But let's check out Bitcoin, because this is really going to drag Bitcoin or drag CKB around with it. So we have to keep that in mind. Currently, Bitcoin is still within this rising wedge pretty nicely. Right now, we may be in the midst of seeing one of two things. A head and shoulders pattern. And we might see something like that. That was a terrible example there. Something like this occur to the downside, or we might be seeing some sort of rising wedge within a rising wedge. I hope that makes sense. So we can kind of see the correlations here. That this could be somewhat of a rising wedge pattern. We can draw it out so we can argue it, because this little pattern is relevant inside this huge pattern. So is Bitcoin going to fall and the altcoins are going to flourish? Man, nobody knows. That's the correct answer. So it's kind of at a tipping point. Bitcoin really needs to get its act together and kind of right now take off. And what we want to see is this rising wedge forced into some sort of channel. That's my hope for Bitcoin right now. But I'm going to remain, in the position that we are observing a rising wedge pattern right now with the market. That's just my personal position. Not saying that has to be your personal position as well. But anyways, folks, I think that'll wrap today's video up. I do think that CKB definitely has some good things ahead of it. Big shout out to all my Patreons. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon, it's $3 a month. You can get your name, business name, YouTube channel name up on this banner. If you guys enjoyed the video, we'll catch you guys on the next one.